talk with you about For a Girl, it's essentially a program to help girls be the rule as opposed to the exception, as Jenny said. And I'll kind of tell you how I got to this point and then sort of what we've done and hope to do going forward. So, as of 2015, and there's actually a site that you can go on which shows the shifting landscape of males to females, men to women on the planet Earth. As of 2015, 49.55% of the Earth's population were women. So men outnumbered women by about 66 million. However, left to nature alone, the population on Earth would be 50-50, and this is according to Fisher's principle, in which case more boys are born, but women live longer. So it all sort of evens out. So that's just to say we are here, right? We are here. We are 50%. We are here. But are we? I feel like we're slowly getting here. So this is data from the Census Bureau's American Community Survey that shows that women comprise 47% of workers. However, only 24% of those who work in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and math. So why is that? Why the discrepancy of women working in STEM, working in science, working in technology, working in medicine? So this was in an article in The Atlantic called The Confidence Gap. And the authors really demonstrated solid science that showed that women are less self-assured than men, and that in fact, to succeed, confidence is as, if not more important than competence. So these are just some of the excerpts from that article that I'll read to you. And these are some that really struck me. What doomed the women was not their actual ability to do well on the tests. They were as able as the men were. What held them back was the choice not to try. Do men doubt themselves sometimes? Of course. But they don't let their doubts stop them as often as women do. Women applied for a promotion only when they met 100% of the qualifications. Men applied when they met 50%. And that one sounded really familiar to me. And then, in studies, this is cut off a little bit at the bottom, men overestimate their abilities and performance, and when women underestimate both. But their performance does not differ in quality. So one question when I read this article is sort of, where does this come from? Why do extremely skillful and talented women have this deficit in their confidence and self-assurance? So hopefully this transmits okay. I read this study in January of 2017, and this was really, really key to me launching the program that I'm going to talk with you about. This was published in Science and reports the results of a study on how gender stereotypes about intellectual ability emerge early and influence children's interests. So this study blew my mind, and I would recommend picking it up and reading through it because I think it's really telling. It showed us, briefly, that at age 5, I don't know if this has, I'm afraid to push anything here, but where you see the first bolded black arrow on the left, at age 5, girls in red and boys in blue associated brilliance, or what they may have called being really, really smart, with their own gender to a similar extent. And you can see on the graph, they start at the same point. But by age 6 and 7, girls were significantly less likely than boys to associate their gender with brilliance, to see themselves as being really, really smart. So that means by age 6 or 7, they're already on the downslope. That is why one person in that Atlantic Journal article that I just mentioned said, if life were one long grade school, women would be the undisputed rulers of the world. So further from that science study, another interesting aspect was that when girls and boys were asked about their interest in two novel games, one for children who were really, really smart, or the SMART game, there were no differences between boys and girls at age 5. And you can see that actually on the right side with the dark bolded arrow at age 5. However, again, by age 6 and 7, girls were significantly less interested than boys in the game for smart kids, or the SMART game. So what does that tell us? That these things start early. They start really early for girls. We're seeing that girls by age 6, much more than boys, are not interested or don't feel they're able to play the really, really smart games. And they were most likely to turn away from activities that were seen to be only for really, really smart kids. So to me, it hit home. It made a lot of sense. I grew up in a very male-dominated family of very successful men, also a very successful mother, but overwhelmingly male dominance. And I always questioned what I was capable of, and I was always questioning whether I was smart enough to play the really, really smart game. So, based on some of that data, reading those articles, getting a sense of really where a lot of this may be coming from, and keeping in mind that that's just one of the culprits in what creates the environment that we as girls and women have to grow up and push against. This was something else that I experienced myself for many years as a girl and subsequently as a woman. For a girl. So, you were really smart for a girl. You were really good at math for a girl. You were really strong for a girl. As if being good at something as a girl was somehow an exception. And so, to combat some of that and really kind of a play on the notion of for a girl, we created a program for girls. For a girl. Basically to address these issues around confidence, around the issues of girls and women going into science, technology, math, and really hoping to help them see and turn around their level of confidence from seeing themselves as the rule as opposed to the exception. Now keep in mind our program starts much later than ages 6 or 7, and part of what we're thinking about going forward is bringing that age down even closer to where some of these changes start happening at such a young age. So we've partnered with the Pathways to Science program, which is a program in New Haven, Connecticut, that basically focuses on getting community students from the public schools involved with activities related to science, hoping to cultivate interest in youth in science. And using my program, which as Jenny mentioned is the Play to Prevent lab at the Yale Center for Health and Learning Games. So what we do is, yes, this internist builds video game interventions for teenagers with the hope of changing behaviors, changing attitudes through video game play, which is obviously something that's very compelling to teenagers. And we felt that since so many kids, and including girls, up to 95% of girls play video games on a fairly regular basis, that we could use our research lab as a platform for teaching them research methods, providing them mentorship, and hoping to move the needle to them feeling more confident, feeling like they were the smart kids who could play the really, really smart games. So in the summer of 2017, summer before last, we launched the 4-Girl program. And in this first summer of this pilot program, and again, this was just a small pilot, we engaged 9 girls who ranged in age from 9th to 11th grade. And then in the subsequent summer, this past summer, we engaged 10 kids, including 2 boys. We couldn't turn away the boys. We felt it was actually really important for boys and men to be part of this conversation and also to be supportive of girls and women. So we had 8 girls and 2 boys. They were all from the Greater New Haven Public Schools. And the majority of them were actually will be the first to go to college. Majority of them were part of a free lunch system. So these were kids who you know, were suffering some of the inner city challenges of living in New Haven. So a major part of this program, as I mentioned, was mentorship. We engaged 10 women faculty members to come as mentors to our girls and really share their stories, again, back to the stories. And these were actually the part of it that were most compelling to the girls, were to hear from these women who came from all walks of life, had all different paths, and how they had gotten to where they ended up. Really as sort of examples of what these girls could see themselves doing. And I think that was a really compelling part of this story. These are 3 of our mentors. In the middle on the bottom here is actually a local high school student whose name is Mayana Mallory, who talked to them about being a young female entrepreneur. She actually is CEO of Glow Center Co., which is a girl empowerment company, which she started on her own in high school to engage fellow high school girls in all areas of business, math, technology. And so we asked her to come and speak with our girls as well in more of a peer capacity. Another major part of this program for both summers was building friendships and collaborations. And again, fostering this idea that an important, critical part of being a girl and being a woman is supporting each other. So that the only way we can get through this, just like this meeting, is to be there for each other. So friendships were formed, teams were built, collaborations were built, people supported each other, really learning that it's not just one girl, it's a group of girls that really can support each other and make a difference. And then there was just times of pure joy. Dancing, singing, stretching, breathing, telling jokes, really just to sort of have the time together to reflect and enjoy each other and recognize that, you work hard, you play hard, and together it does come together. So another major aspect of this, and again, because our lab does games research, was that part of the sort of end product from this internship, if you will, this program, was for the girls to team up as groups and come up with their own idea for a game, a serious game, which is what we call our game interventions. And that's what they did. They spent the entire time sort of threaded throughout their time together, working as small teams, building the game that they would want to create to have an impact on the bigger world. So one of these games was called A Woman's World, Perspectives of Gender-Based Equity Across the Globe. And through this game, players take on the lives of women in 6 different countries, and basically to learn and understand the rights of women in each of these countries and their day-to-day experiences around inequality. Another game was called Through Their Eyes, an Immigrant Story. And through this game, they learned to increase their empathy, or hope to increase the empathy of their players towards the struggles that immigrants and refugees face, and basically have their player take on the role of a refugee as they travel to reach their new country. And then another game was called the Adoption Game, and this actually came from one of the girls who had been adopted. And in this game, the players learn about the challenges both parents and children face during the adoption process. So this was a way, as you can see, this was a very diverse group of girls, and this was their way of also telling their stories, whether they were immigrants, whether they had been adopted, whether they had faced issues around inequality. Some of the other games they created, one is called The School Story, which was a game that aimed to encourage a safer school environment, including around bullying, cyberbullying, and also just school-wide violence in general. A game called A Nation Divided, and their game focused on racism and how to get people from different racial groups to better understand what others were experiencing in their own groups. And then a game called Purelius, which was focused on teaching people, young and old, how to be better environmental stewards, take care of their environment. So again, these were small pilot groups, programs, but we really wanted to see if we had moved the needle at all with our girls. So we did collect some data, and what you can see here from this pie chart, and this is pre and post the program, is that in response to the statement, I'm confident that if I wanted to, I could succeed in a career in the field of science, technology, engineering, math, medicine, or research, that we were able to move the majority of the girls in the right direction, improving their level of confidence. And similarly, in response to the statement, I am confident in myself, we were able to move all the girls to agreeing, if not most, to agreeing strongly. So even more compelling, I think, was to really hear their comments and their statements. And so I'm going to share some of those with you. Quote, "No one can tell you that you can't do something. I think I can doubt myself every now and then, or feel as though some people doubt me. The program showed me that if I have faith in myself and put in the work, I can do anything." What was most valuable was hearing all of the women speakers. This is because they all conveyed their passion and hope for us so eloquently, and I feel super supported knowing people want us to succeed. I learned that research is not only done just in a science lab with pipettes, but also done outside with society. And a few more. I need moments to breathe and collect myself, and I really value being able to help communities and people in need. I don't need to sell myself short, and I am capable of more than I thought. And this one hit home to what some folks said earlier today. The most important thing I learned is that success isn't a straight line. You have to fail before you succeed. I found it very encouraging. You can accomplish anything you put your mind to. So I'd like to thank all of my partners in this work. Again, this is a collective brain, and a lot of people whose work went into it, all my women faculty mentors, my team, who's mostly 95% women. And just to end with this quote, these are our two teams of girls. Girls can do anything and everything. Thank you.